1962 in Cuba, and of course it's been growing ever since. And secondly, the most famous thing are cigars. And at this moment, I would like to present a Cuban cigar to our acting president, Lisa. And she's going to smoke it at the end of the meeting. Okay, Cuba is the land of tobacco. It's when you think of Cuba, you think of tobacco. It's grown and harvested in what is known as the Pinar del Rio province. And it's unique in that it's at about the 2,000-foot elevation. It's a combination of weather, location, and perfect moisture. It's a 2-year process from when they harvest the tobacco leaves, and it goes through quite a detailed process, which I'll go into in a moment. There's about 100 steps involved until it gets to the factory in Havana. I had the chance to go to the sales room at the factory when I was there. The tobacco plantations have been there for many, many years, going back to the 16th century, believe it or not. It's a combination of the weather and the soil. Everything is perfect for this particular kind of tobacco leaf, and it's a century-old tradition that is based on the fact that quality is the most important thing. This is Alejandro Robana, who is the godfather of Cuban cigars. He's very famous, and when you look into the cigar industry, he started smoking at age 10, and this is documented. So you don't necessarily want to talk cancer prevention to him, but in either case, this was his plantation. It looks the same today. It's a very big, very wealthy plantation, and this is very typical. They grow the plantations in the mountainside, so it's a very dramatic scene where they grow the tobacco. Now, this man traveled the world, including he sold King Carlos of Spain cigars, and he makes a particular cigar called a Monte Cristo, which we'll talk about in a moment. They take from the plantation, they take it into a drying barn. Now, keep in mind the process is about a 2-year process, and from there it goes to the factory in Havana. A couple of interesting things. This photo was just taken. You'll notice the man down on the right side, but up at the top there, you'll see the woman with the headset on. Mainly women do this work. It's very detailed work and very precise. And this is the most famous cigar there is, the Monte Cristo. This is the one that sold for a top price of $500 for the box of 12. When you go to pick a cigar, which I had a chance to do, you're taken into a room and you can pick and choose what size you want. This is the cigar room. It's very, very well done. It's very upscale, and you have a lot of choices. And of course, you want to get the Monte Cristo because this is one of the most famous men that smoked Monte Cristos. Obviously, Winston Churchill. That's his famous wartime photo that was taken in London, smoking his Monte Cristo. And of course, Groucho liked his Monte Cristo, and of course, Arnold did too. So now Lisa does. So now you're in the right company, Lisa. Cuban coffee is very, very famous, and we had a chance to not only have some Cuban coffee, but coffee bars are all over the place, and they were there before Starbucks. Now, the unique thing about coffee, and it's considered to be the best in the world, and it's the way they brew it. They brew coffee, they put coffee in, and then they put sugar in, and it's brewed together. And then it comes out as espresso. It's very, very strong. I had a cup of it, and boy, it gets you going. But if you don't like sweet coffee, you don't want Cuban coffee, because it's all coffee that's Cuban coffee has the sugar brewed with the coffee. And of course, again, the sugar that produces the sweet taste comes from the sugarcane plantations. And in the early 1900s, a family found out about Cuban sugar, the Hershey family, and they bought all of the plantations in Cuba. They subsequently lost them when the government changed, but the original Hershey candy bar was 100% Cuban sugar, and to this day, it's known that Cuban sugar was some of the best in the world. What's happened recently is Havana has become a very big fashion industry. A couple of reasons for this. Number one, you get world-class models that can come there and they can model all year round and look at the setting. You can go down there, you have good weather, you have these 1950 automobiles, which we'll talk about in a moment, but what a beautiful setting. And here again, they can go out and take photographs anytime they want. And of course, you get world-class styles now being exhibited. You see it on the streets. And while I was walking, I just got off the ship and I was walking about 2 blocks, and